normal trainer is not here. The reason Toney took this fight on somewhat short notice because of Steve Forbes pulling out of the main event. Freddie Roach had a prior commitment, so he is not in the corner. John Arthur is the lead in the Toney corner. But when you have 472 rounds as a pro, and you have the ring savvy of a James Toney,
you know what to do.
He knows what to do, and that's not to diminish, obviously, any trainer, especially the real talented ones like Freddie Roach. But James Toney's not exactly in there against Roy Jones.
No, he's in there with a guy who's a game guy, but a one-dimensional guy, Asipe. Comes right at you, straight down the pipe. Usually the kind of guy that Toney enjoys. Toney, technically, maybe still one of the best fighters in the world. He likes guys right in front of him. He can make them miss, make them pay. Pick them apart a little bit.
Remember that fight against Adolfo Washington on Friday Night Fights back in 1999. That fight could have been literally in the phone booth, as they say. Those two stood in the middle of the ring, but Toney knows how to create just enough angles to make the man miss on the inside, and he's very short and crisp with his punches.
Well, there's good news and bad news for Asipe. The good news is Toney stays right in front of you, tries to make you miss and punch right there. The only thing is Toney can counter in between shots, and Asipe once in a while can get a little wide. The good news is the way that Toney boxes. He doesn't use his legs much, and that's where Asipe has trouble. His style cannot deal with movement. Tonight he doesn't have to deal with movement. He's just going to have to deal with Toney chucking back at him on the inside.
What we just saw there is the essence of the way Toney fights these guys. He's leaning against the ropes. The guy's throwing punches. He's making a miss. He's using his shoulders and arms to block it. And then a short right hand right to the face.
We're going to see. You know, there's an old saying, Bob, be careful what you ask for. You might get it. Asipe is a guy who fashions himself a tough guy, likes to walk right in, likes to be in front of you. Well, you know what? He's got a guy right in front of him tonight. Let's see if he likes what he gets. He's going to have a guy who's going to take his style and chuck it right back at him. Let's see if Asipe can be consistent with Toney right in front of him, looking to punch in between.
Toney's one of the few guys in boxing that never gets jammed. I mean, look how close the quarters are, and he's still landing crisp punches.
Asipe still is where he wants to be. He has no chance on the outside. He has a better chance on the inside.
The cleaner punches landed by James Toney. Stop. Miller High Life, Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas, ringside in Phoenix, Arizona. James Toney against Sione Asipe. Toney, who is always a pleasure to work with. And he's on our show. Fun doing the interviews, always has a laugh. 195 pounds. You see, he landed 32 of 73 punches, 29 were power shots.
Toney likes to fight on the inside because he throws nice, short, little punches.
You know, it's funny, James Toney in the Ali movie played the role of Joe Frazier. When we spoke with Asipe, he said, Asipe said, I need to fight like Smoking Joe Frazier. Constant pressure on Toney, never letting him take a minute off in a round.
It's not just the pressure, though, Bob. There's pressure right now. But Asipe is not scoring. He needs to move his hands while he's putting pressure on. Not just put pressure on. If there's a flaw with Toney, sometimes he can fall in love with his defense. Make you miss, make you miss. It's important for Asipe to keep Toney defensive. Otherwise, he's going to have problems.
And right now, Toney is just taking Asipe to school. You saw him bang out 2 quick jabs and then shoot the left hand to the body.
See, right here, Asipe needs to move his hands. If you can move your hands enough with Toney, you can make him go into a defensive play long enough where you can be in the fight. Negate him a little bit. Asipe doesn't move his hands quite enough. Watch for Asipe to go into that old mongoose, that old Archie Moore, the former great fighter, former great world champion. Watch him to go into that turtle defense. When Asipe does that, watch, he's doing it right now. He crosses his arms, crosses one arm over the other. What happens then is you can't punch until you pull one hand back. And to do that, you have to expose yourself. And Toney in those spots will stay close. And when Asipe goes to pull a hand back to expose himself like that, he'll get nailed with a punch from Toney.
Teddy, listen, there's things about James Toney and his weight and all the other things and problems he's had with his weight and where he fits in divisions. But is there a boxer right now in the pro game that's more effective in his tight quarters as James Toney? Because he's extremely accurate from this very close range when he delivers his punches.
Not too many. Now, if Toney took it on the outside, he wanted to do that, I believe he'd separate himself even more with Asipe, because Asipe cannot deal with movement.
There's the bell to end round number 2. Another good round for James Lights Out Toney. Well, last night, as we talked about on the ESPN Thursday Night Boxing Special, Hector Camacho Jr. fought Omar Weiss. Omar Weiss came up with a unanimous decision victory, and John Montano, the executive director of the Arizona State Boxing Commission, joined us. Obviously, all kinds of weight problems with Hector Camacho. 147, then he came back at 151 pounds. Give us the commission side of why Camacho was in that ring, even though he was so much overweight and the contract was for 143.
Well, there's two positions we could have taken. One, Camacho doesn't fight. If Weiss doesn't agree to the weight he doesn't fight, there's no fight. Then the commission brings Camacho before the commission for sanction.
But before you even get to that, couldn't you say, as a commission, because you have to enforce rules, couldn't you say, hey, you got to go lose this weight? He came back 4 pounds heavier. Can't you say, hey, you got to lose this weight or we're fining you?
Yes, we can. However, both camps agreed to the weight. They agreed on a money issue. They agreed to the weight. Once both camps agreed, then the commission let the fight go.
Well, the only thing is a commission's responsibility, I believe, John. I know I want to fight on, but is to make sure that there's going to be accountability, to make sure that the fighter is going to be told, hey, you got to live up to your contract. You got to make this weight, or you're going to be fined or suspended.
I agree. However, it didn't get to that point. It didn't get to that point because both camps were in agreement. They negotiated.
What would have happened if one of the camps didn't have those dollars to give to Weiss? If somebody didn't have that money to put up, then what would have happened? Weiss would have said, hey, I'm not getting in the ring.
There would be no fight. Then there would be a commission issue, and Camacho would have been brought before the commission.
Thank you very much.
John, thank you very much for giving us the Arizona State Boxing Commission's position concerning last night. And the one good thing we have to give John credit for and his staff was the judges. They didn't fall into the hype. They scored that fight accurately. And Omar Weiss deserved the decision, and he got it. James Toney. Sione Asipe. Oh, also, our producer Rob Barner makes a good point. Even earlier tonight, Salido upsetting Pearson, the #1 ranked 130-pounder from the IBF.
See, when Toney does decide once in a while to separate himself with a little distance, well, as much as he might get the better of it on the inside, he gets even more the better of it when there's distance. Asipe's only chance, and it might be a slight one, is on the inside. He needs cooperation, I believe, even on the inside from Toney. He needs Toney to be a little lax, a little lazy. And that's why Asipe needs, if he wants to be in this fight, Bob, pick up his punch stats, his workload.
But every time he tries to pick up his workload, Toney, the straighter punches.
That's why you got to keep the punches on the inside very short. And don't wait for receipts. And don't reach in like Asipe just did. See, Asipe said, oh, I love guys in front of me. You know, I love guys that are just going to stand there and give me the good fight. But like I said earlier, be careful you don't get what you ask for. Because right now he's got a guy right in front of him. But a guy who doesn't just take. A guy who gives a lot. A guy who's in front of you, but he makes you miss and makes you pay. Maybe Asipe's not so sure he likes to be in the trenches with guys like this. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Asipe says he's not hurt. but he's getting hurt on the scorecard. Sione Asipe, no knockdowns. Toney has controlled this fight with the cleaner, crisper punches. Asipe, with a style similar to Toney's, right there, right in front of you, does not have the skill level to match James Toney. He's just picked him apart, punched away.
Asipe has the style to make Toney happy.
Yeah, you know, you take a look at the numbers through 3 rounds, dominant by James Toney. James Toney is obviously very bitter at Roy Jones because he's never gotten the rematch. He's been outspoken about how Jones never seems to have to fight anybody, gets fake mandatories and just keeps fighting nobodies, where guys get stripped. Toney says he's been ranked and so on and so forth. I just can't see, though, how a James Toney-Roy Jones fight could be even remotely interesting, because Toney needs a guy right in front of him, and Roy Jones is not going to be leaning against him. Now, maybe Vasily Girov, who we're going to speak with later, who is supposedly closing in on a deal against Roy Jones. Girov and Toney might be good because Girov is willing to stand right in front of you and trade, but Roy Jones is not going to yes what James Toney wants.
But it would still be a lot more interesting and competitive than the guys that have been fighting Jones. These built up, sometimes fraudulent #1 contenders by these organizations.
It's amazing.
I'd rather see Toney in there with Jones. Toney is a real fighter. Toney's a guy that you can never count him out. To style with Jones would be difficult. Jones is a little older now. Maybe Jones wouldn't move quite as much.
Uppercut from Toney. He's picking this guy apart.
Oh, this guy's made to order. There's that turtle defense hurting Asipe. Watch when Asipe goes into that crab-like defense like the great Archie Moore used to do. He gets creamed right there again. And he's trying to act like, oh, it doesn't bother me. But it's bothering him. You know, shaking your head, shaking your feet. That's not winning rounds. And that's not intimidating James Toney. He's been there, done that, seen it.
Because as we saw Toney against Adolfo Washington back in '99, James Toney is more than willing to do this for 10 rounds and beat the stuffing out of it. He doesn't care.
Now, you can shake, you can jump your feet up and act like you're a monster and all that stuff. And Toney says, yeah, you know what? I've retired a few monsters in my day. Come on. I don't care about that stuff. There's no monsters. There's just fighting. Nobody has S's on their chest.
Watch your shoulders.
So do all that stuff you want. I'll do the punching. I'll do the slipping. And you know what? You're going to feel it. You're going to feel it.
Hooks to the body, hooks to the head, straight right hand. James Toney just pounding Sione Asipe.
Come on. Come on. Hold it.
Taxi! Against Sione Asipe as we begin round number 5 of the scheduled 10-rounder. On our scorecards, James Toney has won every round. He was pummeling Asipe. Asipe hasn't been down. He's shown that he's tough and he can take a shot, but he's not doing anything to win the fight.
As I said right from the top, Asipe, his one-dimensional, predictable style, made to order James Toney. To show that no matter how much shaking Asipe does, sticking his tongue out, shaking his head, stomping his feet, to show you that he's breaking down a little bit. When he gets inside where he has to be, he's not working. That's the proof of the pudding. He's not working because he's worried about getting hit.
Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas ringside in Phoenix, Arizona. Friday Night Fights presented by Miller High Life. James lights out Toney in very good shape tonight against Sione Asipe. He has dominated the first 4 rounds of the scheduled 10-rounder. Earlier tonight, Orlando Salido, unanimous decision win against Lamont Pearson in an upset. Pearson, ranked #1 by the IBF in the 130-pound weight class, loses. He was in line for a mandatory title challenge. Also, Laura Serrano with a majority decision win against JoJo Wyman. So far, Toney has just had his way with Asipe, thumping hooks off the body, hooks to the head, uppercuts like that right there with the right hand. Asipe has no answer.
The only chance, and there's none really, but the only chance Asipe has is if Toney can wear down in the late rounds, because 8 months ago when he was in the ring, he was 225 pounds, the heaviest of his career. He's come down 30 pounds for this fight tonight. If that coming down in weight will tire him late in the fight, I don't think so.
No, Teddy, don't you have to get hit, though, in order for a guy to wear down?
You have to have a competitive pace. You're right.
I mean, Tony's actually using movement, which we haven't seen in about 5 years.
And he turned southpaw a little while ago. He's having fun. He's having target practice. Sparring session for him. It's a lot more than making faces and stomping your feet and walking forward and just being game and tough. You have to be smart. Tony's smart. And watch that turtle defense again. When Asipe goes into that turtle defense, he handcuffs himself, crosses his arms. He can't punch unless he exposes himself. And Tony's right there to make him pay.
Another round for James Toney.
Stop. Stop.
Well, James Toney wants a shot at Roy Jones Jr. He'd like a shot at the IBF Cruiserweight champion, Vasily Yurov, who joins us here at ringside in his adopted hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. We hear that you and the Roy Jones camp have basically agreed upon a deal and that a fight is going to happen sometime this summer. Is that true?
So far, we're looking at this, yes.
Now, this is an example of how much you want the fight. Is it true that there's a clause in the contract that you must weigh in 3 hours before the fight and must be at 190 pounds 3 hours before the fight? You will agree to that?
I'm agree because I'm working at 190. So I'm actually on my weight all the time. So it's no problem for me.
That means he's hungry, Teddy.
Yeah, no doubt about it. How do you go beat Roy Jones?
How I will beat?
The body?
It's one of my best punches. Of course, I will use this, but I think you guys will see when it happens.
You want to keep it a secret?
Yes, I want you guys to enjoy it.
Were you, when you looked at the tape of your fight against Castro, who you had here on Friday Night Fights a couple of weeks ago, back in February, did you learn a couple things in there? There's some of the areas of your game you have to clean up a little bit?
Yes, it was a nice tough fight. The guy is very smart. He has a lot of experience, and it was just nice to me was being there and actually go again all 12 rounds, because actually almost my fights will go pretty quick.
You're going to be fighting a southpaw in Toney. You fought, I'm sorry, not Toney, and Roy Jones. You have fought a lot. You have fought a lot of southpaws.
Yes, I am.
You mean Jones is right-handed?
That's what I meant to do. Do you think that will be a big advantage for you being a southpaw? Will you try to take advantage of that? Because against Jones, that talented fighter, you need to come up with a specific game plan. Will part of that be to try to take advantage of being a southpaw?
I think so, yes, because actually I saw his fights with southpaw, and he's not actually very good about fighting these guys in southpaw, and he has some problems, so I think so it helps sometimes.
Vasily, one more question for you. If the Jones fight somehow falls through, in boxing anything's possible, or if you do have the fight, and whether you win or lose, is James Toney one of the guys that's on your radar screen as well?
We're actually thinking about this, and right now actually my manager and my promoter are working about this, and so I want to see this. I would like to fight James Toney, but I want to cross his shoulder people. He's a capable fight in the cruiserweight division, you know. He was like 200 pounds in his heavyweight, and right now we can see if he can make this a weight, and he can fight both, you know.
Vasily, thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Good luck. Vasily Yurov watching James Toney just pummel Sione Asipe.
Sione, watch that head.
You know, Teddy, you can almost make the case. I know that there's a right hand by Toney. I know that boxing and a punch could be landed or whatever, but, you know, you have concessions in sports like curling and other sports. In Little League, you have the 10-run rule. I mean, is Asipe even being competitive at this point?
Well, in boxing, in the amateurs, you have the 15-point rule, where a fight is not competitive, and a fighter is 15 points ahead in that crazy computer scoring system, you stop the fight. You might want to stop this one.
What we learned here tonight, or what we're learning tonight, is that James Toney can get his weight down. Got it down to 195. Didn't have any problems making it at the weigh-in. He was working out in the health club at the hotel. Very relaxed, very poised. Has a lot of skills. He's never lost that aspect of it. He seems rejuvenated. Asipe is no match either. Here's Brian and Max.
Thanks, Bob. Roy Jones Jr. has asked his #1 contender in the WBC to step aside so he can fight Vasily Girov. Which guy would you rather see Girov fight, Toney or Roy Jones?
Well, Jones and Girov is a super fight. Toney and Girov isn't. But I do think Toney and Girov is a fight of the year type fight. Toney loves for guys to come right at him, and he's such a technician. He's so comfortable in there picking off shots and countering. And Girov wants a guy to stand right there and try and counter him so he can no nonsense go in, bang the body, and try and take him out. Their styles mesh so well that no one's going to really impose their style on the fight because they want each other to do what they're going to do. The question is who's going to be able to impose their will. That's a definite fight of the year candidate. But, of course, Roy is more money and it's a bigger fight.
Roy Jones Jr. walking around maybe 170 pounds, going up to 190.
Harry Greb?
Sensational. I mean, that'd be big
No one else
news.
is asked to do that except for Roy.
Let's go back to Bob and Teddy, guys.
All right, thanks very much, guys. And we're going to look at James Toney here. You know, Brian and Max made the point. Roy Jones, you know, walks around at 170 or whatever it is. What weight do you think Jones would come into the ring against you? I mean, there's no need for him to really put on weight. I mean, for him, it's going to be all about his speed and his boxing skill. He can come in at 175 and he still win the fight.
You're right. He should. That's a good point.
Going
Not
light,
only,
right?
He should come in what he's comfortable coming in. He should not try to put weight on. He should just be comfortable, be in good shape, and have the right fight plan to take advantage of what he will think are flaws in Girov. And by the way, when I was asking Girov about him being a southpaw, Toney has had plenty of practice. Not Toney. Roy Jones has had plenty of practice with southpaws. Matter of fact, at one point in his career, he defended his title with 3 straight southpaws.
And he was a decorated amateur, and in the amateur game, you see a lot of southpaw. He just has tremendous skills. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all for Roy Jones. Yeah, you know, and Max made the point that the real good fight, obviously Girov and Toney both want Roy Jones, but stylistically it's not that good. The real entertaining fight for fight fans will be the Toney-Girov fight because of the way they fight.
Right now, Toney doing what he wants, turning southpaw, picking his spots. Asipe, the only thing that he's had that is worth mentioning tonight is heart and a good chin. If Toney wants to get rid of Asipe, there's 2 ways to do it. One, he'd have to put together 3 or 4, not just 1 or 2 at a time. And when the guy has a real good chin, you know where you should go, Bob. Downstairs, bang that body. Toney started banging that body hard. Maybe that chin of Asipe or the resolve of Asipe wouldn't be quite as strong. See Asipe leaning forward there. Toney could step back, lead him right into an uppercut. Right there. And Asipe looks to get away from punches. He leans forward. Toney would step back for that uppercut. But you can't miss. And it's up to him to put something on top of it to maybe close the show. During this moment of domination here by Toney, I'd like to take this chance to send out for all of us a speedy recovery to Georgie Colon in New York, one of the fine judges in New York. Matter of fact, when we were there last week in New York City, didn't seem right not to see him sitting, judging the fight at ringside. Georgie Colon, one of the good judges in the business, good people, and former real good fighter, the baby bear cut. Georgie Colon, get better.
Toney dominating Asipe through 7.
Stop, back it up. Come on, back it up.
Asipe, except turn out the light so far in this fight. Through 7 rounds, he's landed 54% of his power shots. He is just having an easy time. Countering, double left hooks to the body, right hooks to the body, hooks to the chin. Even showing some movement on the outside.
And it's not like when you get behind with Toney, you can say, well, you got a puncher's chance. I mean, Toney in 68 bouts has never been stopped. So he's got a hell of a chin and obviously a hell of a defense. So you don't have a puncher's chance late in the fight with James Toney. You have to come in with James Toney with the right style to fight, the right plan. And it's not standing in front of him because he will pick you apart. You got to get off first. Sometimes Toney will let you do that. Get out. Box. Keep Toney off balance a little bit. Move to the side on Toney, but not lay in front of him. Waits Tony's feet are set. He likes you right in front of him. If you move around him a little bit, then you can negate him a little bit. Asipe does not have the ability to do that.
You saw what Toney did right there. As Asipe was trying to move around him, Toney just put his left shoulder on Asipe's chest, and he moved with him.
Come on, no.
You're picking up a lot of things there, partner.
You guided him to where he wanted him.
You're right. That's what you can do in there. You can move a guy. You don't have to even be the bigger, stronger guy. You can take a guy's elbow and just turn him like that. Watch Toney on the inside. He'll take his glove, and he'll just put his glove around the elbow. There he goes. And just turn the man a little bit. This is a surgeon at work. I know it's one-sided, but it's nice watching a guy apply his craft. And he does it well. Toney does it well.
Well, I think Toney's weight issues have clouded the fact that he has tremendous skills.
And tremendous technique. He's a student of the game. Technically as solid as anybody. Knows the ins and outs. Slips punches in his sleep.
The only thing you wonder about Toney is if there was more discipline at the training table, these last couple of years might not have been wasted. Bouncing around in different weight classes and heavy weights. He seems rededicated for one final push at a world championship. James Toney sizes up the competition, looking for one more shot at a world championship.
James Toney's coming for you regardless. I'm back. I'm coming for everybody out there. That means Roy Jones, Darius McIntyre, you know, Vasily Jirov. Whoever want to fight me, I'm going to fight them all because I'm the best fighter in the world, period. I'll fight anybody. You know, you can say, everybody can brag and boast, say they're the best fighter in the world, but if you can't put it in, if you can't just get in there with the best fighters, you're just a farce. And that's all Roy is, and that's all everybody else has been in the past. But if you look at my resume, I fought everybody. From middleweight to light heavyweight, I fought the best fighters in the East Division. And the guys Roy has been fighting the last 3 or 4 years, those were my leftovers.
Well, James Toney has fought everybody. But as you know, we alluded to earlier, I mean, some of his problems have been his own undoing as far as the weight. I mean, even with the Roy Jones fight, he gained all that weight before the fight. He was sluggish. When we had him on ESPN2 in May of 1997 against Drake Tadzi, Toney had to lose 4 pounds the night before the fight just to make the weight. So weight has always been a factor in his fights. And that, you know, only falls on his shoulders. That's why he hasn't always been able to bounce back and get fights that he feels he deserves. You got to be in the right weight class.
Yes, you do. You have to be disciplined. You have to do the proper things to be prepared to take advantage of all that talent, all those skills. Skill is only part of it. Talent is only part of it. Desire, character, discipline, big part of it.
Even heard Jirov say, you know, my people wanted to wait and see if Toney could even get down in weight because he was 226 in his last fight. So he's taking fights just to prove to people he can get to the right weight.
See, when Toney wants to separate himself, now he eats up, he chews up Asipe on the inside. You don't need me or you to tell anybody that. We've said it from the beginning. It's shown itself. But when he steps in and steps out, when he uses a little distance, well then, he takes even bigger bites out of Asipe. Because Asipe is very slow. And when there's distance, well, Toney gets more room to unload, to do damage, more gaps to create havoc.
Daddy, I think I'm starting to see the Everlast logo on the head of Asipe.
Yes, sir. He does look like an Everlast punching bag. No doubt about it. Right now, Asipe has been reduced. He has been broken down, eaten up, and reduced to a guy who's just hanging in there. Not really trying to win. Just hanging in there. Taking punches. Giving up maybe a little bit. Not giving up where he's fallen down. But where he can put forth the discipline or the effort to throw the punches to have a chance to win. He seems to have put himself in a position now where he's relinquished that. But now he's just there to be there.
One of Asipe's favorite movies is Rocky. And you almost get the sense that he wants to just get to the 10th round and say he survived.
Because if he wanted to win, he'd have to really let all the punches go. And then he would get hit even more.
Stop! This is crap.
Sione Asipe as we begin the 10th and final round. He's outlanded Asipe 317-82. Teddy, our director Lenny Stucker obviously paid close attention during our main event setup piece. And in the interview, James Toney said, I want to look really good. I want to knock this guy out. Well, Lenny reminded us, we're talking about how good Toney looks. He's not knocking the guy out. Is that a mark against him?
That's a very good point. And, you know, you could get trapped into saying, hey, Toney's having target practice with this guy. You could look at it two ways. He's having target practice. He's doing whatever he wants. Or, as Mr. Stucker so rightly brought up, you could also say, hey, how come he's not getting rid of this guy? A guy who he himself said he would knock out. How come he's not stepping it up to that notch? Yeah, he's dominating him, but he's supposed to dominate him. Why don't he take him out? And Toney himself has admitted, I have to shine. I have to look that impressive. If I'm going to break through to the opponents, I want to break through because I know a lot of them don't want to fight me. I have to force them to. One way to force them to is to look that good.
Come on, Sione. Come on, back it up. Hands up and stay alive.
I think like a mid-round knockout would have been good for Toney. If he would have knocked the guy out in the first round, then everyone would have said, well, who is Asipe? If he knocks him out late, then we say, well, just look at the punishment the guy did. I guess the mid-round would have made it look impressive.
Yes, it would have. See, Toney wasn't
knockouts that haven't even happened.
Hey, human beings are human beings, even James Toney. When you're not forced to go to the next level, you know what? Sometimes you don't. Asipe hasn't forced Toney. Toney has been able to dominate at this gear. This is probably, out of 1 to 10, this is probably gear 6. Toney hasn't been forced to go to gear 7, 8, 9, or even close to 10. You have to force yourself. Toney has been allowed to stay at gear 5 and 6 all night long. Toney would have stepped it up a few gears, and that would have been putting 3, 4, 5 punches together, banging the body. But I think Toney just fell into a little bit of a thing where, hey, I'm winning every round. I'm gonna go home with a W. 10 rounds under my belt.
Hands are free. Come on.
Lost a little weight. See what's next on the calendar.
Asipe has taken tremendous punishment. Most of James Toney's opponents do. Asipe raises his arms. He lasted the 10 rounds.
Yes, he did.
James Toney pounded.
What do you think? And I didn't give him a grade, but I just said, hey, you know it was up to you. You could have taken it as far as you wanted to.
A shutout on all of our cards, and I would be shocked if there's not a shutout on every card in America. Here's Thomas Schreiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards, and we have a unanimous decision. Judge Chris Wilson scores about 99-91. Judge Aaron Kaiser scores about 100-90. And Judge Gonzalo Valenzuela also scores the bout 100-90. All in favor of your winner, James Lights Out Toney.
Wow.